the benchmark.
Yeah. And what was it like playing with some of those guys in your backline? Obviously, Tana and Jonah, a couple of ones who stand out.
Yeah, well, Tana, I mean, I love playing with Tana, whether he's at on the wing or in the midfield. Like, I just had a really good understanding with him. Like, he knew that I didn't talk a lot, and even when I room with him, we just, he just knows. Like, I was the only one that could really room with him because he snored like pretty loud. I was a pretty good sleeper, so I could go. But yeah, I just used to say to like guys like him and Alama, like, and man, if you guys break through, I'll just be on your shoulder or I'll be here. And they had to, especially Tana, like, there weren't too many players like him where he could offload and contact right, like, so he could go into contact and he could left or right offload and he just kind of knew where I'll be, and scored a lot of tries off the back of him, and just really loved the way we had a kind of a same mentality on. We'll run from our own goal line. Like, that's cool. Let's go.
Yeah.
If it's on, it's on. So we had a really, I mean, I love playing with Tana. Like, he's great. And then, I mean, Jonah was just different, right? I always say I had the best seat in the house at fullback.
Yeah.
I was quite happy when he came down to Wellington.
That's when you signed up for Wellington, was it? Was that the big reason?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah. We only played him once, when he played for the Blues at 96 as the Hurricanes. That's the only time we played him. And then, I mean, I played him in the schoolboy stuff, but as number 8. So, when he came to Wellington, like, we're pretty happy, and like we knew nothing about his illness, or we just thought, fuck, Jonah, mate, you're a lazy bastard.
Yeah,
but we knew nothing about it, so he kept it pretty quiet. And but yeah, he was when he was fit, he was awesome. You give him the ball, and I scored a lot of try. If he was over that side of the field, he was going to break 4 or 5 tackles, and you'd just gun it across the field. And I always say, you watch highlights of Jonah or, Julian Severe, as good a play it was. If you watch them bumping people off, like Jonah's bump offs, like, people go flying. He had incredible power and his speed, and he was that sort of guy where he had a really long stride, so it was really hard to get both legs.
Yeah, everyone says that. Like, can't get both.
You get one, but he had to sort of, when he got to you, he'd sort of jump off and he'd have the fend and one leg there, and his other one would be gone. So if you didn't have a chance of getting both legs, you no chance at all. But I liked him because he knew that he could use his power game, or if he needed to, he could gash on the outside as well.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, outside of the rugby, like, he kept to himself quite a bit, but he's super generous, loved the young guys, loved the island boys, loved his cars, loved his music, super generous. You'd be in Africa and you buy, I don't know what they call them now, but a ghetto blaster.
Oh, yeah.
Have it in his room. When he left, just give it to the maids. And so he was that sort of guy. And mate, he was once again, imagine if social media was around when he was coming through, and he was the first global superstar. So everywhere you went, like, we were lucky, like, we were the little white guys. You could put on a hat, and I didn't even need to put on a hat. You could just walk around, no one know you. But Jonah was, because he just stood out because he was big, and when he was in that, through that 96, 97, and he had that tuft of hair on the top, he just, everywhere he went, like, you go to Hong Kong and everyone, the English, he come back he went out for a shot once, and he come back, and I think he got into some sort of fight, and there's some English supporters had seen him across the road and charged across the road and, like, tried to get him and tackle him, and next thing he's off and he ran home, but he could go anywhere, and people would. So I don't know, like, he took it in his stride, right? Like, it was pretty amazing how he dealt with all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, and the sickness as well. Like, was that the whole time?
I assume, I think the only people that knew were Doc Mayhew.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't know if Hardy knew, but I assume Hardy would have known. But Doc Mayhew knew, and so he kept that very, very quiet.
It's crazy,
Which was, and what he did with it, I mean, far out. What Jonah did, I mean, I don't know. I mean, how far out? It's amazing.
Yeah. And another game I remember was when your All Blacks. Must have been after the World Cup 2000, was that sort of game of the century. It's been branded the best game ever played. I remember Jonah scoring the winner there, but that game must be one that sort of stands out for you, is it?
Yeah. I mean, that was just another one of those. It's pretty cool having a big crowd there, whatever it's 100,000, whatever. It's like playing at the MCG. But I suppose the only thing with those grounds is they're so big and people are so far away.
Yeah.
Like MCG, like it was 110,000 people, but they're miles away. You're trying to see, if you're watching. And even in the Aussie game, I think we went up where Mertz was doing some kicking and for the captain's run, and we went right up the back. And you're kind of, you could not see him. Like, why are you there for? But it was pretty amazing. I think we almost went into we almost went into shock because we were 24-0 up after, I think it was 6.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, it was almost like a kickoff try, penalty. And then we're like, fuck, man, what's going on here?
Yeah.
These guys are useless, but they're actually a pretty good team. And then, and then they obviously come back 24-all. And then, I mean, hey, we always remember, the Tane over the top to Jonah and then tiptoeing down the sideline. And that's when he, could have used his power, but he used his pace to get around. And Larkham was he was no slouch, eh? Like he was a pretty good player and, tiptoed down there and scored it. So, it would have sucked if we had a loss. Like, imagine the heat.
24-0 up.
Imagine the heat we would have got then. Far out.
And another game was the one where I just saw the clip before actually, was that one where you scored at Westpac or Cape Town and you do that outrageous move.
Yeah. I mean, that's like a move you practice for ages, but you can only do it once, right?
Yeah.
Or there might be 3 different options, but that was the best option. The other one was to give it to a forward.
Yeah, just gets tackled.
And that was not a very good option. Yeah, so we'd practice that for quite a while with, I think Smithy was involved in it. But it took a lot of moving parts, right? Because we needed forwards and it was always going to be hard. When you do a move on the training field, and then when you did it in a game and just everything that you think is going to happen happens, like, when we turn there, that guy's going to come in here and then that guy's going to go there. And then Tana, when Jonah gives it back to you, you'll probably have, Little and whatever, and he's going to, then I'll come on the outside. Like everything we kind of planned pretty much happened, which is, everybody went where they were meant to go, defensively.
How much of that was player driven and versus coach? I'm always interested in that, especially back then.
Well, a bit of both really. I mean, Smithy was a bit like that, right? He was he was quite out there and thinking about different parts of the game, and and then obviously we had, Mertz was there and Marshy, so we had players that wanted. I think Allah may have been in the midfield as well. So, we all had the same thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I mean, Tana and Jonah, and the good thing about having Jonah is,
doesn't matter if it works or not.
Yeah, but the thing with Jonah was he was, that when they turned to give it to Mertz, then Mertz cut with Jonah. So that was the big one where they seen Jonah coming.
Yeah.
And so people kind of jam, and then he gives it back to Tana. And then by the time, they'd obviously jammed, and then Tana had that time to fend. I think he had Little that he had to fend off. But, everybody went, where they were meant to be, which was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, to be fair, I think we did try it again some other time, but when they turned and they gave it to one of those props, that was kind of like, and he just got, as you said, he just got tackled. And like, okay, so won't do that move again.
But man, you scored some tries in your career. Any ones that really stand out for you?
Oh, there's one down in Dunedin in the old Carrisbrook.
Oh, yeah.
That was a cool park.
Versus Aussie.
I think when Larkham puts a big bomb up, and I always tell people, like, when you watch the highlights, like, you can hear Zinni calling, like, you can hear him go, my ball, calling quite loudly. And I'll go, this is how good a player Zinni was. Like, you won't hear me calling for the ball.
Yeah.
You see Zinni catch it, he sort of turns, and then whatever, a quick glance, and he sees, and then I just run a line and he throws that pass across the face. But like, I don't think I can't remember calling for it.
Yeah.
He just seen it. I ran a line and then, and then took off.
And turn Gregan
and
inside
turn
out.
little Gregs in. Yeah.
Oh, you like as many. I can't remember. I don't know how many tries you scored in your career. You probably know, but like, shit, you scored some of the all-time greats.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, well, I guess that's our job, right? That's outside backs and scoring tries and um, yeah. Do you know? I always people go, "Oh, do you miss you miss it?" And I'm like, "Well, I don't really miss the Monday to Friday grind,
Yeah.
but you do miss that buzz, like whether it's scoring a try or running out at Athletic Park when it's bursting at the seams, or running out at Westpac
Yeah.
when it was full. You know, those early years of the Hurricanes when it first opened, and like that buzz you get and that adrenaline you get from that is like you cannot. I don't know. You can't get that anywhere else. Like,
Yeah.
you can't get it on a golf course. You can get a hole in one and it's like, but that's cool. But man, just, you cannot get
No
that.
one saw it.
Yeah. Well, I was lucky I had 3 people that see mine, but that's it. But yeah, I don't know. That's the one thing I probably, I would miss.